This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Good morning, Ira. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing good, getting ready for an interesting heat week. Tyler Herro 2.0, the second week back. See if they regress, if they step forward. Interesting times, but they built that little bit of a cushion that they now can work through things if they need to and still be well placed.
Yeah, no, I'm good, and we'll get to that in a second. Just out of curiosity, what would you have done in Ole Miss? Now you heard my.
I would have. I heard you before I came on. I would have had Lane coach to the end, except for one thing, and this is, I think, where maybe you missed a little because of the recruiting period. Can you have a coach playing for a championship in one place and recruiting for a different team? That's the problem. Now, if Mississippi gets a great name coach in right away, Brian Kelly, and they get someone in who can do that and swap with LSU, that's the thing. If college football, Big O, wants to be a professional sport, which it has become, it should go to adopting a professional sports schedule. Because, Big O, can you imagine if there was free agency in the NFL before the Super Bowl or before the playoffs? That's insane. You know, in basketball and any other sport, you don't hold your draft till the season's over. If college football wants to become Saturday professional football, which is what it is already, then adjust your schedule. Then saying no coaching changes, no coaching hires in this period during the playoffs. The window, I don't care what the window traditionally used to be. Remember, Big O, there was one recruiting window, February 1st, the first week of February, and that's it. There wasn't an early signing period in December. There weren't a transfer portal. So what do they have? They basically have two things. Their version of free agency is the transfer portal. Their version of the draft is the signing period. So do what the NFL or other places do. The NFL does their signing period first, then their draft. The NBA does their draft, then their signing period. Make up your mind. But you know what? Don't give me this, because I asked my son, why is it this way? He goes, Dad, it's because of the academic calendar. Has anyone been checking in on Carson Beck's grades? How's he doing? Is he going to miss practice because he has to go to study hall? The fact that we're tying education to Saturday pro football in the first place is the problem. Yeah. Adjust your schedule. Then it becomes simple. Then Lane Kiffin gets to finish his job unimpeded, without questions about his overall intentions, and you get to go from there.
Right. And recruiting no going on during that time either at the same time. So you can keep everything frozen until that moment, until the playoffs.
Your windows change. No one can go out. No one can do anything. We're going to focus on the playoffs. We've expanded to 12. We've made it our moneymaker. When something is your moneymaker, you don't go out and say, forget the Super Bowl. We're going to start free agency now and have people buzzing about that instead. That's a problem.
Yeah, no, I agree. That definitely would help out. But I just think Ole Miss is going to go back to being Ole Miss.
Absolutely. But it's not even that, but the committee, and we've heard this before, and Florida State didn't have their quarterback, and they didn't make the championship because of that, because he was out. So what is Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin? Okay. Are they what their record says they are? Or is their record what they used to be before him? And the committee has to decide that, because this isn't the NFL, where X amount of wins gets you in, or the NBA. This is, we're going to sit around and decide a little bit and see what happens if BYU upsets Texas Tech. So it's all, it's so unprofessional, but the money is gigantic. I mean, look at the Gators just hired their football, basically GM. College teams have general managers. The world has changed. Change the schedule also.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. All right. Saturday night was awesome because you played the best team in the conference. So, it is what it is. But for you to make that comeback, that was a really fun comeback, dude. And they had their chance even to win that game right there, too. That showed me a ton of character. And I know there are no moral victories or none of that, but it just shows me the focus and the effort of this team all the way to the end. And I the other day when they had like a 13-point lead, they were pressuring people with 40-something seconds left. You know what I mean? It was like that. Just the fight in this team was impressive.
And again, countlessly in our Acura Pembroke Pines report, we talk about Eric Spoelstra pushing buttons. So here's a guy, hey, I'm just not going to play Simone Fontecchio because he's 3 for 25 in his last 3. Give him a break. I'm not going to play Nikola Jovic in the second half if he looked that awful in the first half, or at least not in the fourth quarter. So you know what? That's what happens when you have a coach who has control. He can push buttons and make decisions, not wondering what the boss thinks or who has to play or who's getting paid. He played his best players at the end. It also showed you, which I never thought I would say based on last season, this phrase. You ready, Big O?
Yep.
How much they missed Jaime Jaquez Jr. We
Oh,
never
right.
would have said that last year. Now you can see that little energy burst that he adds in the second quarter or in the second rotation. And in the third quarter, when he comes off the bench, they lack that boost, so they had to fight to the finish. So you can see how things are happening here. Wheels are turning, a lot of moving parts right now.
Well, it's a yin and a yang. You have the guys in the perimeter doing their thing, but you need that guy that can penetrate and create the easy basket.
Absolutely. Yes.
And you can't take it for granted how easy Jaquez is making it look, because
Yes.
it's not that easy, yet he's making it look that easy. So it just shows you fundamentally how his game changed so much that he really has found a place for himself.
A niche, and he's a must-play kind of player, and you're absolutely right on that. And that's the thing is, so that's why you don't give up on people. So that's why everyone's saying, oh, Niko Jovic is a bum now. Give it time. The kid's 22 years old. Has he been awful? Yes, with a capital A. But you know what? We're only 1 quarter through the season. There is still time to find a better fit for him or not, and let him develop, and then you move forward. I'm not worried about the contract extension. It kicks in next season. He'll be a year older. Look at Jaime Jaquez a year older and a year later. This team will find a way to make the most out of you. But again, it's nice that Eric Spoelstra has so many buttons to push that if not this guy, then Pelle Larsson, then Drew Smith, and he has other guys also. That's what makes this roster really fun, is that there can be a plan B and a plan C that is almost as effective as your plan A.
Well, that's the other shocker, too, is that the depth that they have on this team, because so many young guys are playing well.
Yes.
And because of that, all of a sudden now he has a second wave of players that he can turn to on the bench, which, at times he didn't have that luxury. And sometimes he was limited to his 7 or 8 man rotation that he can do. Now he's sitting there, he can roll 9 or 10 guys, and there's still 1 or 2 that haven't played.
Yeah, and again, so there'll be tough decisions, but like Eric Spoelstra always says, those are good problems. Give me too many of those problems of who I'm not going to play that a guy like Simone Fontecchio, who is red hot on 3 early in the season, isn't, so you can still shoot almost 50% on threes by utilizing your other components there and guys who have improved also. It's a fun roster, and every game there will be decisions that you and I can come back once a week on our Acura Pembroke Pines report and go, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? And you can make both arguments. That's all you want from your roster.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there 100%. Does Jovic, I don't know if you see it or whatever, does he gravitate to Jaquez? Does he use Jaquez as an example? Because Jaquez had a shit year last year, and he went into the abyss, and he's come completely out of the abyss, playing well and with a ton of commercials. So I'm just wondering if Jovic looks at that and says, because it doesn't seem like he has a shit attitude about it. It looks like he's trying to attack it, but I'm just wondering, how is he, emotionally when it comes to all of this?
You know what? I asked this question. I started asking this question in the postgame the other day, and I go to Eric Spoelstra. I ask him, so with Nico's confidence, and he cut me off. And he says, this is the NBA. This is the big boy league. This isn't about confidence. This is about putting the work, doing your job, getting better during our shoot-arounds and our walkthroughs and our practices. You have to be proactive. So if Niko is looking for sympathy, none is forthcoming, because this is the big time. These are the big boys. The train is not waiting. So Niko has to get his head straight. That's part of it also. But he also has to be proactive. Jaime Jaquez Jr. looked at the end of last season and said, what do I got to do better to fit in here? And he got better. Niko has to do that a little bit more. He can't lament, well, with the Serbian national team, I get to do that. Nikola Jokic is not walking through that door to help him here. It's a different mindset. Summer League's a different mindset. So again, there are always two factors. Your physical skills. Nikola Jovic is very skilled, but it's also up here. It's also the head game. How can you keep your head in the game? That's where he has to, like so many 22-year-olds, grow up.
Yeah. Injury-wise, how are we going into this game tonight?
Well, we still don't know about Jaime Jaquez Jr. because of the groin, although Norm Powell came back after a one-game groin absence. Jaime did practice yesterday. Interestingly, Big O, I spoke to Norm, and I said, Norm, I don't get it. The last time he missed a week with a groin, this time just one game. He told me he still has the groin strain, but it's in a place where the doctors told him it won't get worse by playing. So he's been assured of that. So Norman Powell is not 100% now. But he's enough of a percent, and we see this in guys, that he's a gamer and wants to get out there. I'll give you one other interesting factor. Tyler Herro becomes ineligible for any NBA award that he might or might not make if he misses one more game. I'm going to find it really curious to see how much he pushes through to make that 65-game limit, just in case guys get hurt. He has a really good year. He's been scoring like crazy. I mean, 29, 24, 32. He's been getting the numbers. So I'm just curious how he pushes. And again, then that's something the team has to go to him and say, look, we know you might want an award, but you might have to rest in this spot or that spot. So that NBA rule of not missing more than 17 games, I think really is unfair for players who miss time early and then come back, as if they don't get another rest day, when for Tyler and for the Heat, resting him might be the way to go.
Well, and by the way, the Norman Powell thing, while he has a little bit of a groin issue, what allows him to kind of pace himself a little bit more now is that Tyler's on the floor,
yes, the depth,
and that scoring load off him, because if you didn't have Tyler, that might put a little bit more of a strain on him.
Or even this depth, or someone like all of a sudden Pelle Larsson you can trust, or Drew Smith you can trust, that they have so many buttons that they could push that every game there's going to be a guy, I'm going to come in our Acura Pembroke Pines report and saying, wow, I'm surprised Fonteca didn't play. I'm surprised Jovic didn't play. Right. I'm surprised Drew Smith didn't play. That's just part of having this kind of talent. You match up against the opposition. Since we're talking ahead of the Clippers game and we're talking about Tyler, the defense. And I just wonder how they're going to compensate it. And Big O, we saw this. Cleveland saw Tyler in the playoffs last year and ate him alive defensively. The end of that game, Cade Cunningham literally had binoculars. Where's Tyler? I want the pick and roll over there. I want Tyler on me. James Harden.
But hold on a second. But that's a little unfair, that comparison, because Cade Cunningham is going to burn practically everybody in the league.
Yeah, fair.
I can't ever expect, I got to give Tyler, he's getting effort points for trying on defense.
He tries.
He is.
We all have limitations. Yes.
But I was never going to expect him to be a Cade Cunningham stopper. I'm sorry.
No, and he's not set up that way. But if the Heat are going to play their switching defense, you're going to get caught. And don't you for a minute think that James Harden is not going to sit there and say, where's Tyler Herro here? Call whoever he's guarding, call him up. Let's run a pick and roll.
Yeah, they have to also say, where's James Harden too, by the way.
And true, the other way. But here's the difference. The Heat have an extension decision to make. The last few times the Heat have gone the big bucks, Big O, when they gave it to Jimmy Butler, was like, whoa, this is a mistake. It was a mistake. They got smart last year. They pulled back. They said no extension. You're going to have to decide, if you can't trust Tyler at the end of games, that you are subbing him out on clutch time on defense, is that guy a $45 to $50 million player? Or is that a case where you have to come to a different thought? That's why I think it was smart the Heat, number one, didn't extend Tyler. No offense to Tyler. He had a great season last year. Haven't currently moved ahead with extension talks with Norm Powell. Let's see how this all meshes. We have time to see how this comes together before the February trading deadline, before Norm Powell's window closes, before Tyler Herro's window opens up again. Let's not rush to judgment. It's one thing at Nikola Jovic at $14 million a year. It's another thing to a player at $40 million a year.
All right, we talk about Jaquez, but another guy that's really settled in nicely is Wiggins. I think he has really found a nice groove for himself right now.
As a complementary component, which he was at his best with Golden State, and he can be at his best with the Heat. And that's what makes it so complex for Erik Spoelstra is this. If you have to start Bam, which you do, and you have to start Norm, which you do, and you have to start Tyler because he's a starter, and you have to start Wiggins, you only have one spot of wiggle room, which is why we're having these debates. Should they start Kalel? Hey, he's played well rebounding in his minutes. Should they start Davion? My God, he's a defensive monster. His assist to turnovers are better than the Tim Hardaway era. Tough decisions. That's why I think this lineup should remain fluid. And if the opponent goes big,
depending on the matchups.
Yes, right. If the opponent goes big and they have a 4 and a 5, and you want the height of Kalel on Zubac, for example, against the Clippers, play big. No one need be offended, but that's the thing. If you trust the other 4 implicitly to be starters, then you have to have a flexibility. So I think it'll be really interesting, 1, how Erik Spoelstra deals with it, 2, but can the players like Kalel and Davion be egoless to the point that, okay, I'm a reserve today, but I'll still give the same effort.
All right, you talked about a little bit about to open the segment. You talked about how they have a little bit of a buffer now from what they've done to start the season. Well, guess what? Tonight is a buffer game, baby. The Clippers are a disaster. They're losing to everybody. They're like, I don't know, like 4-13 or some crap.
They're the second worst team in the Western Conference behind the god-awful New Orleans Pelicans. But I say this because this is the NBA. You still have Harden, you still have Kawhi coming in. That could be 60 points between the two of them. They both can't go off. One can go off. That's the difference. You still have to play defense. And remember, on that lineup I just gave you, if you're starting Norm Powell and you're starting Tyler Herro, your perimeter defense, other guys have to compensate, especially when you don't have the shot blocking of Kalel in there. So I think this becomes somewhat of a challenge in case those guys go off, in case Tyler winds up in foul trouble.
Oh, yeah. Again, I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying this is a very winnable game right now.
And the Heat have mostly taken advantage of winnable. Now, when another team has come in without an Anthony Davis, when another team has come in without a leading man, now Jalen Duren wasn't there for the Pistons on Saturday. That should have benefited the Heat. They couldn't take full advantage. They got close at the end. But yes, when Giannis isn't playing, you've got to win those. Because you know what? You're going to have your games when Bam isn't playing, when Norm isn't playing, when Tyler isn't playing. So you have to bank the opposition having guys out as well. Totally agree on that.
All right, what else you got going on in the Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Well, I mean, just the fact that the NBA Cup is coming and then next week we're going to have our Acura Pembroke Pines Monster NBA Cup preview before that huge Orlando game. You know what, Big O? It's adding a little bit of a buzz, and I don't want to overstate it.
You beat Orlando. I don't give a shit about the NBA Cup. That is a nice measuring stick for me.
And you play them twice. You have them. It's crazy. They play Orlando on Friday, come home to play Sacramento, take Sunday, Monday off, go right back to Orlando for the NBA Cup game. I don't like how it's a disjointed schedule, how fans don't know who is playing where. I think that's difficult. But you know what? If I'm sitting here in December and I can honestly tell you the Heat have a game with meaning, hey, I'm all in that as well.
How are owners like Mickey Harrison knowing they're going to lose a home game?
They're not. They're going to get totally covered. That's all built into the souffle. The league will make a payment. If you remember last year, the Knicks were down one home game because of the way their cup schedule played out. All of a sudden, the Pistons gave them their home game against the Knicks, and it was moved from Detroit to New York. So the owners who have the power, the team who draw, they'll be compensated. No one in the NBA is losing money. God bless Nick Harrison and Mickey Harrison. Yeah. They'll come out just fine here. I feel for the players and a grueling schedule that could have them a week from now in Orlando on Tuesday, flying Wednesday to Vegas, having to play in Vegas on Saturday, maybe Vegas the following Tuesday, right from there, going to Brooklyn, going to Boston, going to New York, being on the road 11 days. That's where the scheduling hurts for the tournament because you don't know where you're going to be day to day, hour to hour. Hell, I might be calling you in 2 weeks from Las Vegas.
So then does Spoelstra really take this? I mean, he's going to take every game serious because
it's who he is. Yes, it's who he is. But look, there's a perfect scenario out there, Big O. They could play in Orlando next week, not wishing this on anyone, and lose, get 5 days off and get Toronto at home and literally never leave the state of Florida for 2 weeks. Now, you won't get your cup and you won't get your player bonus, but you'll get your rest. That's what you weigh also.
Although player bonus for some of those guys on the Heat roster who are young.
Hey, if you're Keyshawn Johnson and you're making $2 million, which is a pretty good salary, but you can get another $500,000 Who in one day gets a 25% salary boost? So it matters for those players. Hey, guys like Jimmy Butler, they're making almost $1 million a game. They're taking a loss. When they play in that 83rd game that doesn't count in the standings, the Cup championship game, they're playing for less than their market value. Right now, we're getting to the point with Luka's extension. Players are making, sorry folks, $1 million a game. That's the difference. So I don't know if they have to raise the Cup money, but yeah, for the Pelle Larsons and the Keyshawn Johnsons, the Drew Smiths, hey, it's a huge payday. They want to cash in.
By the way, is it starting already in Golden State that they're all complaining and Jimmy's whining?
If Jimmy, I was going to say Bitchler. If Jimmy Butler is not bitching, then it's not a day that ends with a Y. It's who he is. So glad to be out of headaches. It's interesting when it comes to trade deadline. We mentioned in our previous Acura Pembroke Pines reports, the John Morants and other guys. Hey, let's stay headache free for a while and just enjoy the game, right, Big O?
You know, I'm kind of backed away from the John Morant thing now.
Thank you.
I watching this team right now and watching the way he continues to act, it's like John Morant doesn't really get it, and again, you know, the he can reach a lot of people, but sometimes they don't reach everybody, and that's one guy I'm afraid you might not be able to reach because
so the people who want to aggregate, it's at Big O Show, which is why the Heat might be better off with Drew Smith and John Morant. Have at it.
Yeah, no, it's just kind of it's because you're going to lose Tyler for him. I get it, and that's where you're like, oh, I don't know, man.
Wiggins, or a component that's actually contributing. Yeah.
Yeah, and will he get it? That's the weird part. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Ira, as always, thank you, my friend. We will catch up next week.
Next week from our NBA Cup studios. Thank you, Big O.
You got it, my brother. Appreciate you. The NBA Cup. All right. Acura Pembroke Pines. We were there on Friday hanging out. Sean and I, like always. And you could get on down there to 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. They've got the Season of Performance sales event going on right now. The Integra 2025 model, $169 a month, 3.9% financing for 60 months. The ADX, $239 a month, 4.9% financing for 60 months. The RDX, $359 a month, 4.9% financing for 60 months. And the TLX, $339 a month, 4.9% financing for 60 months. They've also got a ton of certified pre-owned vehicles. So you've got a large selection there if you own or lease one. By the way, the service center there with Mike Chan and Jordan Ferber are second to none. Go visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. Finest dealership in the business, baby. It is Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines.